Hello there guys, it's Joey. So I really wanted to make a video and discuss a concept, a thought, an idea, something that has been on my mind of late, which is regards to the walking of the path with the goddess Morrigan and the idea of pain and the painful path and the difficulties of walking a path which is sometimes harmful, sometimes hurtful, and then putting that into context with it's kind of a new age philosophy that you shouldn't really be in pain. And I have had one or two comments throughout my talking about the goddess Morrigan with regards to that painful living is a choice. And if you continue to live in that pain, then you are perpetuating that pain, and it's a bad thing, and you should be looking for the light in situations, and so on and so forth. And I don't tend to engage with these comments because I wholeheartedly disagree with this idea of you should be ignoring pain, or that pain is completely negative. And I was also talking to a very dear friend about this concept end of last week, and I've been on and off not very well, so I've kind of put off talking about it until I felt well enough in myself to hopefully make some sort of sense. I don't know why it's a song, some sort of sense. Right, anyway. It's like the beginning of a Disney movie, it's insane. Right, and that's kind of funny actually, because that draws parallels. Like, this is not a Disney movie, this is real life. And there's another thread to this as well, that people have said to me in the past, from a place of complete love, that they don't want me to be in pain and they want to protect me from all pain. And people do say this to each other, you know, I want to keep you from all harm, keep you from all pain. And I tend to say, when this is said to me, you can't, it's not possible. And furthermore, you shouldn't, because pain, whether we like it or not, shapes us. As I was talking to my friend about it, as we were having a conversation, we were saying we felt that it was necessary, and this is another daughter of the Morrigan, so we're likely to have quite similar perspectives, obviously, but this is how I felt about it and how she felt about it. And I was saying that pain and our reactions to it and how we've been through things have kind of forged us. And she likened pain to a grindstone, and that we are the blades, and that's... I was kind of saying, you know, how it honed us and sharpened us, and she brought in the idea of pain as a grindstone, and we agreed, basically. That's, you know, this is a discussion we were having, we agreed. And it's just odd to me, the idea that, especially on Morrigan videos, that somehow the idea of pain becomes the idea of blame. And I've also gonna talk about this article because I shared this article on the Starry-Eyed Facebook page. It's on rebelsociety.com, and the author... That's quite a loud ice cream truck considering all the windows are shut. I'm not even editing out, that's hilarious. Right, okay, via Louise Jane West, I believe is the author. And it's called What I Want to Tell You When You Say Get Over It. And I've had videos on here before about how I feel about people saying just get over it. So it spoke to me on levels already. And it's talking about being a victim. I tend to use the word survivor more than victim because I don't like putting somebody in a victim headspace far after the fact. You know, I think it's perhaps kinder, but more empowering to think of oneself as a survivor, as a warrior, not as a victim. But I'm going to read to you from her essay, which I highly recommend that you read, and it's on Rebel Society, or you can find it through the Story Ed Facebook page. I shared it, and I was like, this with bells on. So, this is a prayer that every single abused child gets to have their voice. Every single child who was beaten gets to know they were a victim and own that they were a victim, because being a victim is a real fucking thing. Don't let the victim-shaming, new age self-help bullshit tell you that trauma is a choice or a construct, or if you look towards the light you will find something else to occupy yourself with, that the pain will miraculously disappear with no effort to tend the wounds. And it goes on. But I just thought this was so potent and so powerful in this message that I've been mulling over and discussing already with individuals in my life. And as I was sort of mulling over to myself on the way to the post office this morning, I was thinking about this video and how I wanted to talk about it, and a great big massive crow just landed down in front of me, and I was like, yeah, we're going to talk about this today. This is important to do so. So these are some ideas that have been floating around in my mind and have been present here, there and everywhere on social media recently, and kind of those synchronicities that make me feel that this is something to talk about within Morrigan pathworking, within Dark Goddess pathworking. And it's interesting how, in looking at different elements, different aspects of the goddess, I've come under fire and ridicule for being too light by some, and then that I am too invested in my own pain by others. And I feel like really we're all searching and finding our own way, and controlling and trying to attempt to control how an individual walks their path, particularly in witchcraft, is damaging. And this idea of this new age self-help bullshit that tells you that trauma is a choice is victim blaming, and it enables abusers. It enables abusers to say that the victims and their pain is a choice. So, why is it that I feel that pain is a part of the Morrigan path? Is it a place you should permanently live? Of course not. If you live in a place of pain, you are ignoring the purpose of pain. And this is twofold, because one, pain is symptomatic. Pain in a physical sense is an indicator that something is wrong with the body. It's a natural part of our anatomy to let us know that we're injured or something is wrong and that something is going on with our bodies that needs attention and needs change. And I feel like this applies on all levels, that when we are feeling pain on some level, it is an indicator of something is wrong in our life somewhere that needs attention, that needs change. And it's not always an internal thing, sometimes it can be an external thing. And I think the most potent example that comes to mind for me is death and the grief that is felt by those that have survived the death, who have not died, those who have lost someone. And the pain that one feels is very much an emotional reaction to a situation which is completely external, completely non-controllable, and yet we feel pain very emotionally, very physically in times of grief. And can you imagine anyone in their right mind saying to somebody who was grieving that grief is a choice? You shouldn't be grieving, you should be in a place of light. And I'm sure it happens. I know I touched on spiritual bypassing and celebrating the ladies who spoke about that. And I think Kellyanne mentioned the idea of, in fact, mentioned this very thing about that, you know, some people would say to those that were in grief, well, death isn't the end, so don't mourn. But I was thinking about this more in terms of why we are so afraid of the concept of pain and painful lives. Pain isn't pleasant. for most of us. Some people might enjoy it, you know, not getting into that. There's the random thing that people will be like, in this video. There's apparently going to be one in every video. And it's not necessarily something you want to live in. It's not a place that you want to focus and stay there, because it'll kill you. To be in too much pain for too long without relief is killing yourself. And too much pain is not a good thing. However, what is life without pain? For me, I have said, and I will say again, I have been through some traumatic experiences in my life, and I have discussed those on the channel. And sometimes people say, would you rather have not been through everything you've been through? And my honest response is, I don't know who I would be if I hadn't been through what I have been through. What I have been through, I wouldn't wish on anybody, and I wouldn't wish it on myself again, given, you know, a choice, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone else. But it's just a matter of the fact that I am a survivor of abuse, and surviving that pain has shaped me in all sorts of ways. It's why in my heart I feel warrior-esque, and I'm doing everything in my power to align with that path. Because I have survived things which could have killed me, that have killed other people, that cause people to break down and give up. And it is the rawest form of pain that I have personally been through. And I've been through pain many times over. I feel like I have died in my lifetime many times over. But I wouldn't try to circumvent those experiences. I wouldn't try and belittle those experiences. I wouldn't try and nullify them. I wouldn't say that I need to be choosing a lighter, brighter, bubblier path in order to be spiritually fulfilled in any sense. Oh, well, you'll be happy if you just move yourself out of pain isn't really a concept that I can agree with on any level. I can't get my head around it fully because it feels like denial to me. It's like, these are the experiences of my life. These are the challenges of my life. These are the situations I have experienced and keep experiencing. There will be elements of my life that have been shaped by the pain I have been through that will be with me for life. I will never, ever stop speaking out for those that I believe need to be spoken out for, unless directly, expressly asked not to by the individual. I will never stop speaking against domestic violence. I will never stop speaking against discrimination and hatred towards the LGBT community, and so on and so forth. These are causes that I feel are strong. I think we need to stand by our brothers and sisters of humanity, not just in the craft, but of humanity. And those things impassion me because I am a survivor of abuse. And I've seen what sexual and physical and emotional and mental abuse can do, not just firsthand, not just to me, but to my sister and to those around us, and how people have reacted since. And a lot of people couldn't handle the pure amount of pain that I was in. Most people couldn't handle how much pain I was in. And I was made to feel guilty that I should cram my pain into a box and forget about it and carry on with life. And that to me was despicable. That in the days that have followed, and because working through this pain meant that I built myself back together, and that's something that I feel quite proud of, that I got through it. And this is something I want to say to people who are in pain, or in that much pain. It might feel like a black hole. It might feel like yourself coming apart at the seams, but you are going to get through it. You're going to rebuild yourself. You're going to forge yourself into a new person. And once you've got through it, nothing will frighten you anymore, because you know that nobody can take away from you, that you survived it, that you got through, that you are the ultimate badass of that situation, that you are strong. So when you get through onto the other side of pain and grief and anger, and you constantly continue to forge yourself, and I consider it a warrior-like task, not everybody does, but that's how I perceive it, then you keep becoming that higher form of warrior energy. You keep becoming the better version of yourself. And nobody has the right to tell you that that pain didn't shape you, didn't create the phoenix, if you like, if it wasn't the fire from which you were born. And I actually shared the idea early last week of the phrase, the quotation that it says women, but we can apply it to both genders. Some women are forged by the fire. You know, some women are burnt by it, and some women are forged from it. And it is a fire in our veins. And I really honestly feel that pain plays this integral part in the choices that we make further down the line. And how we interact with that, how we choose to then proceed, is up to us. We can run from it, we can engage it, we can acknowledge this as coming from a place of pain, and then evaluate how we want to go on forward. Like, this is causing me pain, but I don't want to react on a flight or fight instinct. I want to really consider what I'm doing on a spiritual level, on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a psychological level, and so on and so forth. While I agree that one should not live in a place of pain as a permanent, and one should use it as a catalyst for healing and improvement, I don't agree with the idea that one is in a place of shame because of the painful experiences, or even that one shouldn't look at one's painful experiences in the end and, to an extent, acknowledge them as part of the self. It's not so much about being grateful for the pain, because then you get into dodgy waters of, again, enabling abusers, and that's not something that I will allow in this video, or, you know, in my headspace. I'm not going to enable anybody's abuse of anyone else. It's wrong. And but we can say that happened, and it hurt like hell. And I might have nightmares for the next 20 years. I might have nightmares for the rest of my life. I have nightmares now. I probably will continue to have nightmares all my life. And it's just memories of trauma resurfacing occasionally and need healing and dealing with. And that to me is the Morrigan path. It's not a glorification of pain. It's just a practical acknowledgement of pain. That life can be painful and beautiful. That life can be good and bad, and it's seeking a path in the middle of evaluating oneself on the basis of all the good and all the bad for stereotypical purposes of categorization, because that is too simplistic. There is good and bad and good and all the many, many spectrums of in-between of experiences. But you can take something from every experience. Even if it was just a life soul-shattering experience, you can allow it to be what it is. You don't have to look for the positive necessarily in every negative situation, because I think that's something else we're taught. Look for the silver lining and whatnot. And it's okay for it just to have been a situation that really sucked and really hurt and really had a profound effect on you. Some things cannot be completely explained. Death is one of these things. We cannot fully explain death. We can give it a biological factor if that is the case, but that's not the case with all death. You can give it a fate analysis, but that's not necessarily fair. And we can look into the spiritual, what we feel that we know, but still, death is one of these things we cannot fully explain, and it causes pain for those left behind. And that may shape us, but that's not a situation that we can necessarily come out the other end and say that there was a silver lining in death, because that person will be missed. that grief is real, that mourning is real, and it's just carrying on and bearing the scars. We are all accumulation of the scars that we gather throughout life, whether we can see them physically or whether they're emotional or mental. And that to me presents the idea that we all become sort of grizzled warriors as we get older. We all bear these scars of battles that maybe people didn't know much about. Maybe people do know. Maybe people do empathize. And I think talking about pain as if it's something to be ashamed of and is a construct, and criticizing people for having had painful experiences and talking about them is a kind of shame-blaming game thing that I don't agree with. I feel like we are blades, particularly those of us that walk on the path of the Morrigan, and we are shaped, honed, ground by our experiences. They make us better or they break us, and the choice of that is not necessarily instantaneous but is within us, and it can forge us. And it may take many years, it may take a lifetime, but the goddess Morrigan speaks to those who understand these things, who understand what it is to have burnt and then rise from that fire, who have been forged by that flame, who have been through the painful experiences and come out the other side bleeding, muddy, crawling through the dirt, scraping through, screaming, breaking, biting, falling to pieces, but they come out. And that is not something to be ushered into a corner, to be made silent. It is something about the strength of their will. It's the strength of their life force, the strength of their determination to overcome, and should never be made small. Pain is something that we can only relate to a certain way with other people, because certain circumstances we will never have a clue about. Even if we have been through something similar ourselves, we are not the same as every other person on the planet. We should allow everybody to be an individual. And it can be helpful to reach out and speak to people and say, you know, you are not alone. But it is a lesson that I've had to learn, that not everybody who has been through the same sort of experience will come out the other side the same person that I came out the other side. Some people come out the other side and they feel bitter. Some people come out the other side and they are permanently wary of certain types of individual. And that is part of who they are and part of their path and part of what they have to do to work through. Not everybody who comes out through these situations is going to be the same. And this is another reason why I don't feel that applying this idea of, oh, well, everybody should just focus on the positive and attract more positivity to them, and that's fine then, because, you know, it's victim shaming. It's not allowing people their pain, and it's so, it kind of follows on a little bit from the idea of silence, like trying to shut people up about the things that matter to them, the things that are difficult, the things that are hard to talk about. And I don't agree with it at all. I think that we need people to speak out about these situations that have harmed and have caused pain and say, you know what, I've been there, I know it, and you're gonna be okay. Even if you don't feel like you're gonna be okay, you will. At some point, reach a place where you are doing it, however it is that you get there. And for me, Morrigan has been a place of strength, who has looked at my pain, looked at my experiences and said, you conducted yourself as honorably and as strong as you possibly could have. And you should take solace and pride in your actions in the face of pain, because often in the face of pain we reveal who we are. That person can change, but ultimately our noblest selves can surface through times in complete horror. As sad as that is. And it reminds me of a quote that I saw around the time of some of the shootings and the bombings of recent times. There's been so many recently, which is, look for the helpers. In times of complete horror, you will always find the helpers who are doing whatever they can to ease the pain of other people. And what can be nobler than seeing people in pain and feeling a driving urge to help and assist and connect, rather than ignore or shame or make people feel that their pain is without any reason, is illogical, is purposeless. It's not fair. We shouldn't be here to define what somebody may or may not feel, or may not react to, or how long someone needs to heal. So that's going to be it for this video. It's kind of made me feel kind of emotional towards the end. So that's going to be it. I'm going to get in close now. Hi. Many blessings.